Purity Press Publishers, empowering a generation through sexual purity. Purity Press Publishers understands homeschooled families are uniquely positioned to impact the sexual culture of this nation. Purity Press desires to partner with homeschoolers to help reestablish a biblical sexual standard. Purity Press is committed to reestablishing a foundation for moral sexual behavior. Our resources focus on the wholesome sexual development of youth, young adults, and married couples. Purity Press promotes sexual abstinence until marriage by providing biblically inspired publications to help our youth avoid the pitfalls of the current sexuality crisis. Over the past 50 years, there has been a well-coordinated movement to advance an anti-biblical agenda regarding sexuality. This movement, also referred to as the sexual revolution, has declared war on basic Christian values, producing a generation of misinformed youth confused about their sexual identity and purpose. The cultural expansion of the sexual revolution has normalized transgenderism, gender fluidity, and gay marriage. The Biblical Sexuality series will equip your student with the truth they need to resist the rising tide of sexual immorality. Volume 1 introduces your student to the 5 historical pillars of the sexual revolution and provides a basic overview of these topics: the medical consequences of sexual sin, how sexual intimacy impacts spirit, soul, and body, sexual immorality and corrupt worship, questions and answers about sexually transmitted infections, an introduction to the law of circumcision, and reveals sex as a spiritual covenant governed by the laws God has established. Volume 2 presents a unique but balanced perspective of human sexuality. It examines the history of sexual idolatry, the spiritual laws impacting sexuality, and addresses the biological function of genes, clearly explaining why there is no gay gene. Volume 3 details the biblical laws God established to govern our sexual behavior. Your student will discover why God established these laws, how these laws protect us if we obey them and harm us if we break them, how sex impacts all 3 dimensions of human personality, spirit, soul, and body, the nature and purpose of godly soul ties and ungodly soul ties. Volume 4 analyzes one of the most important social events in American history, the sexual revolution. The sexual revolution caused a major shift in sexual attitudes within the United States. Historians typically acknowledge several periods in the 20th century which experienced a sexual revolution. Volume 4 offers a fresh historical perspective, proposing one continuous sexual revolution with 3 distinct phases. Your student will learn about each historical phase of the sexual revolution, the philosophical and historical origins of the sexual revolution, some of the social and political forces advancing the sexual revolution. Millennials are the most sexualized generation in American history. We cannot continue to allow the current immoral sexual agenda to go unchallenged. Together, we can help correct much of the confusion. Equip your student with the spiritual resources they need to help make the right moral choices. Educate your student on the 3-dimensional impact of sexual sin. Enlighten your student about the negative impact of sexual immorality. Engage your student in a conversation that will help them articulate why they should embrace abstinence until marriage. Purity Press Publishers, empowering a generation through sexual purity.